St. Louis sports fans, go deeper with STL Sports Central Insiders. Get exclusive access to Bernie, Randy, Claves, Jamal Mayers, and more, plus your chance to watch a Blues game in the alumni box with Jamal himself. Monthly giveaways, Bernie's columns all week, and support for local sports media. Join now at stlsportscentral.com. Shortly after Brendan Schaefer, not Brendan Donovan, and I finished talking on our show yesterday about Brendan Donovan possibly going to the Mariners, a new report popped up, also starting out of the Seattle side of things, that the Mariners might be interested in JoJo Romero, another Cardinal that might be on the trade block this offseason. So as we have Ryan Fagan in today, I thought it would be a good idea to talk a little bit about what the market is for the Cardinals left-handed reliever, a pitcher who kind of survived the mass exodus of relief pitchers last year at the trade deadline. So Ryan, as we sit here and we kind of assume that just everything is out in the open for all kinds of trades for the Cardinals, where would you kind of put JoJo Romero in with all of these other relief pitchers that might be out there during hot stove season?
I mean, to be honest with you, I've been surprised that his name hasn't been out there more, right? I think you look at what he is, what he can do, and there have been some inconsistencies over the past couple of years that he's been with the Cardinals, but they haven't lasted long, right? And you look at his overall numbers. I mean, he's a lefty who's never been. I mean, even before the rule change, he never profiled like as a loogie, a lefty who only came in to face one left-handed guy, then got out of there because he's got swing and miss stuff, right? And I think you look at his ability to limit hits, to limit hard hits, to get swing and misses, and he's had experience in that closer's role, not for a full season, but he's filled in stretches certainly at times. And I mean, the ERA of 2.07 last year. I mean, that's good stuff, right?
Yeah.
You know, and his fielding independent pitching of 3.28, you know, that's pretty solid too. I think, you know, if you're nitpicking JoJo Romero, his walk rate jumped up last year a little bit. It's a little bit higher than what you'd like to see it at, but I mean, he was a guy who was in the twos the previous couple of years, and you're talking about a left-handed reliever with closing experience who gets swing and misses, and he has a history of being able to control the strike zone and not walk guys, not put freebies on base. And I don't know any world where that's not something that every single contender will look at and say, this would be a useful addition to our bullpen. So yeah, it's kind of surprised me, but you know, now that Helsley's signed and Devin Williams is signed and you're starting to see these dominoes come off, I think you're going to see a lot of teams kind of say, hey, wait a minute, this is a guy that could help us and won't cost us everything. Yeah, let's go out and see what it would take to trade for him.
And on top of that, too, yeah, you Phil Maton, another name that is already off the market. The Cubs went and grabbed him a few weeks ago. So you are seeing a lot of those relievers finding their new homes. So you're going to get teams that are looking out there and saying, okay, what, you know, and anybody, strength, weakness, whatever. I mean, we saw the Padres go out and just get relief pitcher after relief pitcher after relief pitcher at the trade deadline. You can never have too many. And it seems like in today's, you know, day and age, like everybody, you're going to have two separate bullpens. I mean, you have a day one bullpen, day two bullpen, and you just kind of go back and forth between them. And as far as affordability goes, I mean, JoJo is there too with that, but it does seem like this is one that, man, I would hate to see, and I've talked about this a lot when we kind of go through all of the different pitchers on there, and the hitters, whatever, trade whatever, trade three of the lefties that you have. It doesn't, I don't really care what they're going out there and what they're trading, as long as you're getting the value back. You need somebody to pitch at some point. Yeah. And this is, you know, I had somebody yesterday asking me, you know, that this was a follow-up, the first time I talked to this person since the Sonny Gray trade, and he asking me, he's like, who do they have? Like, who do they have in AA and AAA that we could see this year? And like, Quinn Matthews, like, I mean, that's the one name to kind of throw out there. you still need somebody to pitch innings. Like, you still need somebody out there. And this is the argument I had a week ago with Brendan Schaefer about the release of John King. I don't care that John King wasn't good last year. That doesn't bother me. That's not something I look at in the numbers. You need somebody to pitch innings. And John King is a guy that pitched major league innings last year. You already traded away Sonny Gray. You already lost Miles Michaelis. You traded away the entire back half of your bullpen last year. Okay, I get it. Like, we're gonna be watching a 90-loss Cardinal team probably this next year.
Yeah.
It feels like trading away a guy like JoJo Romero. You're starting to get into that 100-loss range when you start stacking up a lot of these other trades that you're being rumored to be making or to be listening to, right?
Yeah, theoretically. I mean, I don't know that the front office has the stomach for quite that. So, I mean, I think it could be a scenario where they're making these moves with kind of plans to replace them with innings, as the off season goes along. I think the thing with Romero is some guys, it's much better to trade in the off season, right? I don't think he's not a guy that you have to trade now, because if he is in the closer role, right, and he in the first half of the season, and he stays healthy and he produces the numbers similar to what he did last year and really in his whole time in the Cardinals, if he continues to do that, but in the closer role, and he gets into May and June, and he's got 15 saves, 20 saves by the All-Star break, all of a sudden you can get just as much for him at the trade deadline as you can right now, because kind of as you were talking about, there's a difference between your day one bullpen and your September 1 bullpen and your October 1 bullpen. And I think the teams that would probably be looking to trade for JoJo Romero are teams that are focused on what can we have in our October bullpen. And he's a guy that figures into that mix. I mean, he's not going to be the closer on a World Series winning team, but if he's a guy that's pitching your, 7th inning, 8th inning, depending on matchups, I mean, even ability to come in on the 6th inning because the hooks are quicker in the postseason a lot of times. He's a guy that figures into that mix. And if he can maybe not just build up his value, right? Because his track record, what he did last year is fantastic. But if he can have a season where the ERA is low, saves are piling up, he's lowered that walk rate a little bit, and then you factor into that the urgency that happens when injuries happen for contenders over the start of the season, the first couple of months, and all of a sudden you're a little more desperate when there's not time to do these things. So, that's why I said I'm surprised that Romero's name's not been out there, and that's mostly coming from the perspective of teams that could look to acquire him. I'm not necessarily surprised to hear the Cardinals, not that they're going to say we're definitely trading him, but they're not. There's no urgency for the Cardinals to trade him because his value can be the same, because, he could bring back a good prospect or two right now, but he's not going to bring back anybody that changes the farm system. Right. And so it's the same level that they could get in July, at the end of July, for him as they could get right now.
And that's something I wanted to talk to you about, what that value could look like, and we will do so right after this.
You want a backyard paradise next summer? Talk to Merrimack Pools and Outdoors now. No surprises, great design, straight pricing, and you could be swimming by Memorial Day. Hit SplashSTL.com. Merrimack Pools and Outdoors, turning big Griswold dreams into real St. Louis backyards for 25 years.
Missouri, hey, your time's finally here. DraftKings Sportsbook, America's top-rated sportsbook app, is live in the Show Me State. You can make every game more exciting with same-game parlays, money lines, props, and more. And be sure to check out some of those daily specials that they are running this week in the state of Missouri. And right now, Missouri customers, you can bet $5 and get $300 in bonus bets instantly. No waiting, no nonsense, just pure action, powered by America's top-rated sportsbook app. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app. Use code STL Sports, and new customers bet $5, get $300 in bonus bets instantly. That's code STL Sports. The crown is yours in partnership with DraftKings Sportsbook.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. 21 and over. Physically present in Missouri. Eligibility and restrictions apply. One single use odds boost per customer. Market boosted to plus 100 odds. Max bet $50. Expires at 8:20 p.m. Eastern Time, December 7th. Terms at sportsbook.draftkings.com/promos.
So you said here, you say you don't think a return on JoJo would be something that could change the farm system along those lines. That's what I was going to ask, and that's kind of what I was going to debate on with this, because you look at some of the returns last year, and you look at a possible July trade for JoJo Romero and what that could look like if he's putting up a season like he had last year, an ERA of around 2.07 last year for his ERA, 60 plus appearances during the year as well. If you are looking at trading that to a contender in July, I think there are teams out there who would be very willing to part with a top 10 only, maybe a top 5 type prospect to get somebody like that can sure up an 8th inning of a bullpen and make a run to a playoffs, right? And if you get a top 5 guy, low level top 5 guy, that is something that could change change a farm system.
Possibly. I mean, I think when we're talking about, top 5, top 10 in the system, I mean, it so depends on the system, right? Because the top 3 guy in one farm system is going to be about the same as a top 15 guy in a different system. So if you're looking at it like as an overall thing, right? If you're looking at like top 100 prospect type of things, I don't think there's any scenario where JoJo Romero is bringing back a top 100 prospect, right? It's just probably not going to happen. And that's what I'm talking about when I talk about something that changes the farm system. Now, could he bring back a player, whether it's a pitcher or a low-level guy who comes in a couple years, or could he bring back somebody that does make an impact on the Cardinals for multiple years? Yeah, absolutely. But I don't think it's not going to be any sort of guy that is going to be immediately vaulted into the top 10 of the Cardinals farm system. And I guess that's kind of what I'm talking about. I didn't mean to imply that he won't bring back an impact guy, because I think he could. And especially if we get to the trade deadline and the weeks around that. I mean, it's not crazy to think that if he's in the closer role and he's putting up numbers like he is, he could be part of the all-star team, right? Because, I mean, you're looking at the Cardinals, kind of what their roster might look like. Somebody's got to represent them, right? So
it's going to be Weather. I mean, they're going to bring Wetherholt. They're going to want baseball's going to want to just showcase every single bit of JJ Wetherholt. So he's going to be the representative. I'm calling it now.
There you go. Yeah, I remember some of your preseason predictions, so we'll see how that goes. No, but I mean, like, so like in that scenario,
wait till we get closer and I start making predictions of him winning the National League Rookie of the Year. I mean, I'll say it here on December 5th. He's going to be the National League Rookie of the Year. So I'll throw that prediction out there already. It's fine.
So if he's an all-star and he's got some saves and he's brought that walk ratio down, and he keeps that strikeout ratio, the hit to walk ratio, or hits per 9 innings ratio, kind of keeps that in the same spot. You could bring back a guy who is a top 10 prospect in certain farm systems, and they could make an impact. And I think that's why. But you could also see, because of the consistency that he's shown. I mean, 65 appearances each of the last 2 seasons. That's the kind of consistency contenders can want. So you could see a scenario after some of these dominoes fall, and some teams that were looking to shore up the bullpen, the Mariners or the Blue Jays, they don't get what they want, and they can't find a match. They all of a sudden say, okay, well, now we'll meet the price the Cardinals are kind of asking. And so that's why I know we've seen a lot of rumors lately, but unless a team is just really, really anxious to make a move and get him on there, Romero seems like a guy that if he moves, it won't be early. It's not like when they're trading Sonny Gray that they want to make something happen right away, so you don't have to think about it. The same thing with Nolan Arenado. You don't have to do that. You don't want to do it just for the sake of getting it done, because his value is pretty. It's about as high as it's going to be right now, and he could be a help for a lot of contenders. And I think they can see that consistency that he could bring through the season.
And I mean, just looking back on it as we sit here and talk about the future of JoJo Romero, looking back at that trade, that was such the initial trade to bring him in here. Edmundo Sosa for JoJo Romero. It's one of those just back page, flies under the radar, and the impact that it's had for both teams.
Yeah.
Just the minor impact. For neither one has it been just this organization shaping, altering move, but for both, you kind of look back on it and both organizations are going, all right, like that. Hey, that was good. That's dream scenario for both to just be like, all right, neither one of us got screwed on this deal.
Yeah, I mean, it worked for both. Now, there are times over the past couple of years that I'm sure the Phillies would have loved to have Romero in the bullpen because they've had some issues back there. But yeah, Sosa's been great for them, and Romero's been great for the Cardinals, and it has been. You rarely see deals that look like win-win situations 3-4 years down the road, and that's definitely been that for both teams.
We will continue to watch the rumor mill and see what we're and see what is out there as far as JoJo Romero and all other Cardinals as we get ready for the winter meetings that start next week down in Orlando. And we will have Mike Claiborne down in Orlando all week covering the winter meetings and get all kinds of news for you from down there whenever it comes out. And if any big moves are made, as always, we will go live with our instant reaction shows here on STL Sports Central. This has been another edition of Card Central 365. As always, brought to you by DraftKings. The crown is yours.